In the volatile landscape of the Middle East, where power struggles and ideologies clash, one organization stands at the intersection of state and non-state power: Hezbollah.
As I've said many times before, our fighters in Syria, our mujahideen, are there as part of our defense of Lebanon.
Born in Lebanon, nurtured by Iran, and enmeshed in the survival of the Syrian regime, Hezbollah is a political, military, and ideological force that transcends borders. But how can we understand its web of alliances with Lebanon, Syria, and Iran? This is where the theory of constructivism helps us move beyond traditional explanations of power politics. Let's explore Hezbollah regional entanglements through the lens of ideology, identity, and shared narratives.
We viewed them as one of the most significant transnational criminal organizations / cartel / mafia that we had ever come across.
To understand Hezbollah, we must first understand constructivism, one of the most compelling theories in international relations. Constructivism argues that the international system is socially constructed. States and actors don't just respond to material forces. They interpret them through the lens of their identities and ideologies. It's about understanding why actors behave the way they do, rooted in shared identities and historical narratives. This framework is particularly useful in understanding the Middle East, where shared histories, religious identities, and ideological narratives drive alliances and conflicts. Constructivism urges us to ask why certain relationships form, not just how they operate. Hezbollah origins are deeply tied to Lebanon's political and social fabric. Emerging in the 1980s during the Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon, Hezbollah was initially a response to the marginalization of Lebanon's Shia community. For decades, Lebanon's Shia population had been politically and economically disadvantaged, creating a fertile ground for a group like Hezbollah to rise. Its narrative of resistance, first against Israel, later against Western imperialism, resonated deeply within this community. Hezbollah political and military actions cannot be separated from its identity as a Shia resistance movement. Its legitimacy in Lebanon stems not only from its military strength, but from its ability to frame itself as a defender of Shia rights and Lebanese sovereignty. Beyond its military role, Hezbollah operates as a social and political institution, embedding itself in Lebanese society. Constructivism helps us understand that this is a deliberate effort to shape identity and loyalty within its base. Iran's relationship with Hezbollah is perhaps the most defining aspect of the group's regional role. Born out of the 1979 Iranian Revolution, Iran's political ideology, rooted in the concept of Wilayat al-Faqih, or governance of the jurists, became a guiding principle for Hezbollah. Through financial aid, military training, and ideological alignment, Iran transformed Hezbollah into an extension of its own revolutionary ideals. This alliance transcends pragmatism. It is an ideological partnership. Iran sees Hezbollah not just as a strategic ally, but as a key component of its vision for regional influence. This is why Iran invests heavily in Hezbollah military capabilities as well as its political and social networks. Constructivism allows us to see this as more than a power dynamic. It is a shared narrative of resistance against Western's dominance, Zionism, and the Gulf monarchies that unites the two. Syria's alliance with Hezbollah is both ideological and strategic. During the Syrian civil war, Hezbollah played a crucial role in propping up Bashar al-Assad's regime, with Iran backing both actors. For Hezbollah, Syria served as a lifeline, a geographic link to Iran and a buffer against hostile neighbors. For Assad's regime, Hezbollah is a vital proxy force that provides manpower and legitimacy in its fights against insurgents and Western-backed opposition groups.
Iranian-backed militias,
the Houthis in Yemen,
Hamas in Gaza, and Hezbollah in Lebanon.
For a long time, the axis of resistance has enabled Iran to spread its influence in the Middle East and avoid a direct fight, particularly with the US or Israel.
What's unique about the Hezbollah-Syria relationship is that it's rooted in mutual survival. Assad depends on Hezbollah to remain in power, while Hezbollah sees the Assad regime as essential to maintaining its logistical and ideological ties to Iran.
One way to get your head around the axis of resistance is not a formal alliance with a clear membership process, and Iran doesn't always call all the shots. It's more of a network of groups that are linked through their relationship with Iran. It includes Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, Hamas in Gaza, and militia groups in Syria and Iraq. They all get varying levels of support from Iran, some more, some less, and they all have specific objectives within their own countries. But there are two things that bond them.
various groups with various local motivations, but I think they share opposition to the policies of the United States, and they share opposition to Israel.
Constructivism frames this as an alliance based not just of necessity, but on shared narratives of resistance and a vision of regional order that oppose Western and Israeli influence. Hezbollah relationships with Lebanon, Iran, and Syria illustrate the power of identity and ideology in shaping alliances. These partnerships are not purely transactional. They are deeply rooted in shared beliefs, historical narratives, and visions of resistance. From a constructivist perspective, these alliances endure because they are underpinned by a collective identity and purpose. They're not simply pragmatic, they're existential. The durability of these relationships, even under immense external pressure, is a testament to the role of ideas in international politics. Hezbollah actions are just not about survival, they are about shaping the region's ideological landscape. As the Middle East continues to evolve, Hezbollah's role remains pivotal. Its alliances with Lebanon, Iran, and Syria highlight the importance of understanding not just the material, but also the ideational forces that shape the region. Through the lens of constructivism, we see Hezbollah not just as a political actor, but as a symbol of the power of ideology and identity in shaping alliances and conflicts. Thus, this is the story of Hezbollah, not just as a group, but as a force that is shaping the very identity of the Middle East.